There are moments in life when we feel like we're in the middle of nowhere. It's a strange feeling, as if the ground we've always walked on is disappearing, but a new one hasn't yet appeared. Everything that once made sense suddenly becomes confusing. The plans we carefully drew up start to fall apart. People who were close drift away, and no matter how much we try to hold on to that old reality, it keeps slipping through our fingers. It's not a sudden loss, but a slow erosion. It's the discomfort of being in a limbo, in a transition space where the safety of the past no longer exists, and the future is a complete unknown. If you're feeling this kind of emptiness, this weight of uncertainty, know that you're not alone. This feeling is not a mistake in your path, but a sign that something much greater is in motion. Life, as you knew it, is not simply falling apart. Maybe it's just being prepared for something new. What makes this period of uncertainty so uncomfortable is not only what hasn't yet arrived, but what is leaving. What once was solid, reliable, and safe suddenly begins to fail. Those pillars you used to build your life, whether a relationship, a successful career, or a long-term plan, begin to crack under your feet. This is the moment when reality, as you know it, becomes unrecognizable. This experience is universal. It's the job that suddenly loses its meaning, even if it offers security and comfort. It's friendships dissolving without an apparent reason, just from a silent distance settling in. It's the belief that it's always been this way that suddenly no longer fits with what you feel. It's as if the universe is removing, one by one, the pieces of a puzzle you've spent your whole life assembling, and that's frightening. The most confusing thing is that these collapses often begin subtly. They may show up as a persistent feeling of dissatisfaction, a lack of joy that no external achievement can fill. You reach goals you've always wanted, but the sense of victory is brief and shallow. This is not a sign of ingratitude. It's your inner being showing you that the foundations you relied on are no longer enough to sustain the person you are becoming. The resistance to this process is natural and most of the time painful. We try to fix the pillars, force relationships to go back to what they were, or even cling to careers that no longer nourish us. We do this because we believe our identity and security are directly tied to these structures. But life has its own intelligence, and it knows when something has already served its purpose and is now blocking your growth. But what looks like a disaster is not an accident. Things aren't falling apart randomly. They are being dismantled with precision so that something truer and more aligned can take their place. This is the first clear sign that a deep rearrangement is underway, not to punish you, but to prepare you for a reality that is much more in sync with your true self. What the human mind immediately labels as chaos is, most of the time, a crucial stage of a much more organized process. Our brain seeks patterns, order, and control, and when those elements are removed, the default response is panic. We see things falling apart and conclude that something has gone wrong. However, the universe operates with a logic different from ours. It doesn't care about our comfort zone. It cares about our evolution. Chaos, from this new perspective, is the sign that the old order is being undone to make space for a new one. Think, for example, of a seed. On the outside, it needs to break down, to disintegrate in the soil and moisture, so that it can finally sprout. To a superficial eye, the seed is dying, but in reality, it's exactly in this process of dissolution that it finds the necessary condition to transform into something greater. And that's the central point. The disorder you may be experiencing is not random. It is a reorganization. We are taught to fear uncertainty and to associate it with failure. But what if what you're experiencing is not failure, but a passage? What if all this is not the universe punishing you for something, but pushing you towards something much greater? The confusion we feel can be seen as a moment of construction, like an internal construction site, where the old structures are demolished and the ground is prepared for new foundations. And like any construction, the process is rarely clean or silent. The resistance to this process is what generates most of our suffering. We try to hold on to what is falling apart because the mind tells us the void is dangerous. But the wisdom within this process tells us to let go. What looks like a loss may, in reality, be a release. What looks like the end is only the transition to something that's already aligned with your true path. And this leads us to an even deeper question. Why is this reorganization happening now? Is there a specific reason why your life, at this very moment, is being turned upside down? If external disorder is only the reflection of an internal reorganization, then the natural question that arises is, what's the logic behind all of this? The logic is simple. What no longer resonates with your essence is leaving, and the universe knows it. Many times, this happens because your energy is expanding, but the structures around you remain the same. Think of a river. If the riverbed is too narrow for the force of the water flowing through it, that water will break the banks to follow its natural course, which is much stronger than the barriers built. In the same way, your soul is too big to stay trapped in a form that limits it. And what looks like a disaster may just be the removal of what no longer serves you, to open space for what's coming. And this deconstruction is a fundamental step in the journey to your complete self-realization. This is the great irony. Our lives are being rearranged because we asked for it. Maybe you asked for more peace, more purpose, more joy, or more authenticity. And now, the universe is honoring your request, but not in the way you expected. Instead of delivering everything in a neat box, it is clearing the space, removing everything that could block the new phase that is about to manifest in your life. This is an answer, manifested in a way we don't fully understand at first. It is synchronicity in action. The pain we feel in this phase is the pain of resistance. It is the friction between the person we are becoming and what is still trying to hold on tightly. But the universe does not abandon you in chaos. It refines you through it. That's why you feel your world falling apart. It's being rearranged so that a truer reality, one more aligned with your deepest desires, can finally be revealed. And the first and most important lesson the universe asks of us in this new phase is, let go. But what does letting go really mean? Most people think letting go is the same as giving up, abandoning what matters, or becoming indifferent. But that's a shallow and limited view. In the context of a life rearrangement, letting go is an act of deep trust and recognition that attachment is the main source of resistance to life's flow. The pain we feel does not come from the loss itself, but from the attachment to what is gone. It's about the weight you are being freed from, not about what you are losing. The concept of detachment, so present in Eastern philosophies and spiritual traditions, is a strategy of liberation. The pain we feel when something leaves is not from what left, but from the attachment we had to it. We unconsciously build an identity around roles, plans, and even people. When these pillars are removed, we feel as if a part of us is disappearing, but the universe is simply dissolving the layers of false beliefs you used to define yourself, revealing your essence, which is much vaster and can never be lost. The process may be painful, but it is not done out of cruelty. Your life is inviting you to a sacred detachment. This means releasing the need for control, the obsession with the final outcome, and the fixation on a single path. As long as you cling to what no longer resonates with your energy, the force that could be creating the new in your reality remains trapped in maintaining the old. The pain of rearrangement is, most of the time, the friction between who you are and who you need to become. For the same attachment that once gave you the illusion of security now becomes the barrier that prevents you from rising. This release is an act of courage. It is the decision to trust that what is destined for you cannot be lost or taken away. Life is doing an energetic cleansing to open space for alignment. You, for example, asked for more purpose, and life removed the career you followed out of obligation. You asked for more peace, and the universe removed relationships that were constantly generating conflict. All of these are direct answers to your deepest prayers, manifested through the removal of everything blocking your true path. So the way life responds is not always the way we expect it. So, by letting go, you don't become indifferent or cold, but free. You allow new energy to enter your life. Because when you stop fighting against what is being taken away, you create a valuable inner space. Not a void to be feared, but a window of opportunity. The space that remains is a solid foundation for reconstruction. It is the absence that makes room for the presence of something new. And in this new freedom, you begin to hear a voice that has become clearer: your intuition. Intuition is not something mystical, but a form of innate wisdom expressed through a language different from the mind. It doesn't work with data, facts, or spreadsheets, but with a sense of resonance, an inner certainty that simply is without needing to be explained. In a life ruled by control and by what can be seen, the voice of intuition is silenced. But now, in the absence of all certainties, it finally has space to be heard. The challenge lies in learning to trust this new form of guidance. The mind demands concrete proof, immediate results, and the safety of a plan. But intuition manifests in subtle signs. It may be an unexpected impulse to go somewhere, a sense of inner stillness when making a decision, or the feeling that something simply doesn't fit, even if it looks logical on paper. This is your energy responding to the energy of something or someone, long before your intellect can process the details. The silence that sets in after the collapse of the old pillars is the perfect condition for the inner voice to become your only source of light. And intuition is that light. Learning to follow intuition is not about ignoring reason, but about recognizing its place. Logic is a powerful tool for execution, but intuition is the essential tool for direction. It is your ability to recognize the natural flow of life, to feel the energy of the paths opening and closing, and to trust that there is a greater intelligence orchestrating your journey. It is a faith that is not blind, but rooted in a deep connection with your truest self, the part of you that knows the way even without seeing it. And it's exactly this surrender to your intuition that begins a phase of reconstruction already happening, quietly, within you, one that will manifest in your reality. What most people don't realize is that while the external world seems to be collapsing, a silent rebuilding is already underway. This phase is not about waiting for the universe to deliver something ready-made, but about becoming an active participant in the process of co-creation. This is where true wisdom shows itself. You understand that the reorganization is not only removing what doesn't serve you, but at the same time planting seeds for your new reality. Your energy, once freed from attachments and resistance, now becomes the main architect of this new phase. This reconstruction manifests subtly, through a new clarity that emerges within you. Answers to old questions begin to appear in unexpected moments. You start to gain a deeper understanding of who you are, what you really want, and what no longer serves you. It's the truth of your being emerging. This process may seem abstract, but it has practical and tangible effects. Your choices start to align with your most authentic energy, and situations that once created friction now resolve with greater ease. But it's important to understand that the life being created is not a patched-up version of your past. It is something entirely new. The old identities, roles, and beliefs that once seemed permanent now dissolve to make room for the person you truly are. You stop defining yourself by what you do or by who you know, and you begin to align with your own essence. This inner refinement is the most important part of the rearrangement. It is the foundation upon which your new life will be built, a foundation that does not shake with external changes. In this process, you don't need to force doors open or chase opportunities. Your main task is simply to be. Your frequency, your energy, and your presence become the magnet for experiences that are aligned with your new self. It's a fundamental shift of energy, from a state of effort and struggle to a state of attraction. Life begins to move with you, not against you. Synchronicity stops being a rare coincidence and becomes the daily language of the universe, confirming that you are on the right path. And this new reality that is forming is a manifestation of your current state of being. It is built step by step, with every conscious choice you make, with every attachment you release, and with every time you trust your intuition. When life begins to rearrange, one of the deepest processes that begins is the letting go of who you are not. Throughout our journey, we create various identities, roles, and personas to fit in, to be accepted, or simply to survive. These were the masks we wore to hide our vulnerability or to meet others' expectations. Now, the universe is removing those roles, not to punish us, but to force us to confront the person we truly are, without all the layers that were added over time. This removal of masks is what makes the process so personal and painful. It's not just a job that goes away, but your identity as a successful professional. It's not just the end of a relationship, but the dissolution of your role as someone's partner. The pain of rearrangement is, most of the time, the pain of a false identity being undone. And that is, in fact, a gift. The universe is showing you that your true essence is so powerful, it doesn't need those personas. It can stand on its own, without the need to act or pretend. The wisdom of this process lies in understanding that your authenticity is not something to be built, but something to be revealed. Rearrangement is, at its core, an invitation to come back home, to your truest self. It is a process that asks you, who would you be if you didn't have to prove anything to anyone? It's a refinement where everything that is not you is gently, and sometimes abruptly, removed. And as uncomfortable as it feels, this journey of self-discovery is likely the most important one you will ever take in your life. This phase demands immense courage, the courage to be vulnerable, to admit that your identity was anchored in external things. It asks you to look in the mirror and recognize that the self you showed the world for so long was not your true self, but a version built for survival. And the moment you stop clinging to those old identities, the universe begins to conspire in your favor, drawing people and circumstances that resonate with your new, more authentic frequency. The discomfort of letting go of old habits and patterns is part of this process, but what forms through it is stronger and more resilient than what was lost. What most people don't realize is that external changes are only a reflection of a deep inner transformation already happening. Life is not breaking you for no reason, but refining your essence. It is like a precious metal going through purification to release its impurities. The crises, the discomforts, and the losses you face are the heat and pressure needed for you to become your purest and most authentic version. And this refinement happens on every level: emotional, mental, and spiritual. In this process, you are invited to release thought patterns that no longer serve you. Your mind, once trapped in limiting beliefs about what is possible or not, begins to expand. You realize that the stories you told yourself, "I am not capable," "I don't deserve," "this is impossible," were just constructions limiting your potential. This mental refinement is what allows your intuition, the voice of your soul, to become clearer and more reliable, because it no longer needs to fight against the noise of your own doubts. The same happens with your emotions. You are challenged to feel and process emotions you may have avoided for years. Anger, sadness, and fear, once seen as weaknesses, now become messengers, pointing to where you need more attention and healing. It's an emotional cleansing process where stagnant energy is released to make room for acceptance and peace. This emotional healing is not easy, but it's the foundation of your resilience. It's the moment when you learn that emotions are temporary and that your inner peace is unshakable. These inner changes have a direct effect on your external reality. As you refine yourself, people and situations that don't resonate with your new frequency begin to move away, and new, more authentic and aligned connections begin to appear. It's the law of attraction in its purest state. Your outer world is rearranging itself so it can be a mirror of your inner growth, reflecting your truth and your evolution. The purpose of all this is not just to make you feel better, but to make you stronger and more prepared for the life you are destined to live. Your life is going through a refinement so you can become the being you've always been, but who was hidden under the layers of who you are not. And the discomfort of this process has a much deeper purpose. It's easy to interpret this pain and discomfort as punishment, as a sign that something has gone terribly wrong. But spiritual wisdom and personal growth teach us that discomfort is actually an essential tool, not a mistake. It is the friction that creates movement, the catalyst that pushes you to your next level of awareness and growth. Life has a growth logic very similar to nature. A seed must be pressed by soil and darkness to break its shell and sprout. In the same way, a diamond is formed under intense pressure and heat, and we also go through a similar process. There are moments in our journey when the universe applies the necessary pressure so we can release what no longer serves us and develop an inner resilience that could never be built in our comfort zone. It is an invitation for you to let go, to become more flexible, to allow the flow of life to shape you into something stronger and more authentic. Discomfort also has the purpose of aligning you. On a deeper level, pain is a sign that you are operating outside of alignment with your truth. When you force yourself to stay in a job that drains your energy, or in a relationship that no longer nourishes you, discomfort grows. It's as if your inner system is screaming for you to pay attention. So the hidden purpose of the pain that comes from discomfort is not to make you suffer, but to guide you back home, to a place of greater authenticity and peace. Instead of fighting discomfort, true wisdom lies in embracing it. The fear of discomfort is what keeps us stuck in limiting situations. But when we understand it has a purpose, our perspective changes completely. We stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" This shift in perspective is the turning point. The moment you stop being a victim of circumstances and become the student of your own journey. In the face of this whole process of deconstruction, the greatest barrier we encounter is not the pain itself, but our own resistance to it. Fear and the need for control lead us to fight what is happening, trying to hold tightly to what is already dissolving. But true wisdom lies in saying a sacred yes to transformation. It is not a yes of defeat or passivity, but a yes of deep acceptance and collaboration with life's intelligence. It is the conscious decision to stop fighting against the current and to let it carry you where you need to go. Acceptance, in this context, is an act of power. It shifts your position from victim to active participant. What once looked like a blow of fate now becomes an invitation to alignment. Instead of wasting energy trying to reverse the process, you direct it to adapt to it. The sacred yes is surrender, a trust that even without knowing where you are going, life is guiding you to a place of greater authenticity and purpose. But saying yes does not mean you don't feel the pain or discomfort. On the contrary, it means feeling everything and still choosing to trust. It is the courage to look at the chaos and say, "I don't understand this, but I trust there is a purpose. It is recognizing that your mind doesn't have all the answers and that there is a greater wisdom at work. This surrender is the turning point, the moment when you stop defining yourself by your plans and start defining yourself by your ability to adapt and flow with life. Your inner peace becomes unconditional because it no longer depends on external circumstances. This conscious acceptance is one of the most important steps toward evolution. It's the moment when you release control and allow life to work in your favor. And the irony is that by doing so, you actually become more powerful than ever. You stop wasting energy fighting the inevitable and begin channeling it into creating and manifesting a new reality. You are no longer just reacting to the events of your life. You are collaborating in creating them. And it is exactly this collaboration that begins one of the most beautiful and important parts of the journey. Because by saying yes to transformation, you are not simply surrendering to it. You are, in fact, opening yourself to the revelation of a new self, a version of you that has been waiting for this moment. For a long time, you may have been a conditioned version of yourself, shaped by expectations, fears, and social roles. But the reorganization you experienced was a process of refinement. It removed everything that was not you, so that your true self could finally emerge. The new you is not something you need to become, but the essence that has always existed, now free to manifest. The result of this process is not a new life, but a new way of living your life. Your external reality, little by little, begins to align with your inner frequency. You no longer need to force situations or fit into places that don't serve you. The right people, aligned opportunities, and experiences that nourish your soul begin to manifest naturally as a reflection of who you have become. It's synchronicity working in your favor. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're co-creating it from a place of truth. This revelation doesn't happen all at once, but in small and meaningful moments. It's the peace you feel when walking away from something that once seemed essential. It's the clarity that arises about your true direction. It's the courage you find to be vulnerable and authentic. Each of these moments is proof that the discomfort and uncertainty served their purpose. They were the catalyst that set you free. True freedom isn't the absence of problems, but the ability to be yourself regardless of circumstances. The journey that began with the feeling of being in limbo, with life falling apart, was in fact a journey of returning home. Chaos wasn't punishment, but guidance. Losses weren't a curse, but liberation. And pain wasn't a mistake, but proof that you were growing. You went through this transformation and emerged stronger, wiser, and more aligned than ever. And so, the life that seemed to be falling apart was, in truth, revealing itself in its most authentic form. In the end, what is revealed is that the journey was never about building something new, but about discovering what was always within you. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.